Okay, thanks everyone. Can you take a seat? Mr. Quinn, you want to go back in at this point?
Yeah, we would we would like to nominate Councillor Coyne for a position with me as a substitute, if they would allow that as well. Thank you.
So, what are you going to substitute? Councillor Quinn, you really nominate.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, so the paper's still in debate. If anybody else wants to debate any further, the nomination, Councillor Post, you need to go to some of this.
Just very briefly, I think there's a point for it to be nominated. I would say that had the bid required it to be the relevant spokesperson or a ward member, I think that we would have taken a very different position on that. But as there was no requirements, and we felt very much there could be a conflict of interest in moving forward, that was kind of behind our decision. But yeah, congratulations to Councillor Coyne.
So the paper asks council to agree to nominate one council member, which was just done. Also, that the senior manager of development continues to advise the board, subject to those appointed by the councillors, nominate the member, but also support the council's board member. We're asking to look at the key responsibilities of the board member, but our first member B, which is contained in Appendix 1. Requirements of the bid in respect of completion of the nomination form, which is to be submitted to the bid board, Appendix 2 and 3. Once council agrees its nomination of further recommendation to the senior manager of development with engaged to nominate council to complete the nomination form and select it to our first board. Now, take it. Thank you. I think several have touched on already doing these first four items, all four of them, and direct one of the decisions have taken the last of these council meetings. So thanks to the office of the staff involved in making everything to come and the management to take responsibility. Item 5 is committee recommendation of the council. Let's take it to that.
Thank you, Chairman. So this is just the standing agenda item which considers committee recommendations referred to council. There were two recommendations for council to approve, both arising from the Audit and Scrutiny Committee of the 26th of October, and they are to agree the committee's forward plan for 23-24 and also the committee's annual report. The matters obviously were thoroughly scrutinised through the Audit and Scrutiny Committee. But I have to say any questions.
Thanks. Any questions on the paper? Councillor Wilson to move.
Formally move.
Councillor Lindsay to second.
I'll second.
Happy to approve. Thank you. Item 6 is the budget strategy update. Thank you.
Thank you, Convener. Good morning, Council. This report provides an update on the progress in line with the Council's approved budget strategy for 24-25 and a high-level overview of the current financial position. The Council is facing a significant financial challenge as it looks to set its budget for the coming year, coupled with additional in-year pressures. As set out in Section 3 of the report, the last reported outcome for the Audit and Scrutiny Committee in September indicated a forecast underspend of 602,000 on general fund services as of June. This is a positive position, however, this is before taking account of the recent February pay award, the unfunded element of which is to be met from council funds. The report also notes the projected overspend on the Health and Social Care Partnership, which is not able to be met from the current funding envelope, may have. Appendix A sets out the indicative budget gap for 24-25 of 11.6 million and the cumulative gap to 26-27 of 22 million. This has remained the same as reported throughout the year. An update on the assumptions used in calculating the gap are set in paragraph 4.2, and the level of grant funding will be updated once the draft local government settlement is published in late December. Sections 5 and 7 of the report set out the approach to setting the 24-25 budget for revenue and capital spend for both the general fund and the housing revenue account, and provides an update of the activity so far. The report provides detail on the work of the budget working group, the 3 officer budget challenge sessions, which have now been completed, and the capital operations group. Briefings have also been provided to elected members and trade union colleagues as further activity planned. Appendix B sets out the activities to date and key milestones, including planned elected member and trade union briefings in the coming months leading up to the budget setting. Happy to take any questions on the paper. Thank you.
Councillor Day, do you have any questions? Councillor Day?
Just on that assumption part where it says it was assumed on a 3% increase in council tax, and obviously because of the council tax freeze, we will be receiving some level of compensation from government in terms of our council tax. Would it be so if that's set at a higher level, say for example 5%, does that mean that our budget gap will be reduced? And I'm sure the answer is yes, but I just thought I would ask.
Thank you. Yes, if we've assumed 3%, so if we were provided with funding above the 3%, that would go to reducing our gap. And as a reminder, 1% funding is around about 255,000. So if it was 5%, then it would be 500,000.
Any other questions? Councillor Coyne?
Lindsay, just clarification, 2.1.2, then the funding gap remains at 1.6. That's just saying really that the projections haven't changed this. That's all. Over the page 4.2, negotiations on the payover, when are they likely to start?
That question, I don't know.
So the negotiations for the 23-24 pay award have concluded. They concluded last week, so we are implementing that now. The 24-25 will start now. Yes.
Just continuing this theme that Councillor Rennie brought up. Have you any indications or getting any indications of what, how the support from Scottish Government is likely to be, what that's going to be, how they work it out? Because the whole budget, all councils have just been planning to adjust by different rates, then that means that it's a weird formula for the government to deal with, to come up with a plan for that.
Yeah, it's quite a complicated situation because councils are obviously assuming different levels of council tax in their indicative budget gaps. I've had no information through my formal routes at the moment on how that is going to be worked out and what the options are currently. I'm hoping to get that information quite soon, but has not heard anything through formal channels this year.
Any other questions? Councillor Dawson to use the paper.
Thanks, Convener, and thanks to Lindsay for this regular update paper on Council's financial position, which I'm sure you agree continues to highlight the extremely challenging circumstances in which we are operating and which ultimately impacts on the decisions we as Council will take. Note the current underspend position, but also note that this can be used to offset the recently agreed pay award for staff, which is currently being implemented. I also note the health and social care position, which is extremely concerning, and look forward to being able to scrutinise recovery plans as they come forward. All councillors have now received details of officers' proposals in relation to the 24-25 budget. The administration is currently working through these, and it's my intention to engage with other groups, councillors, on this shortly. The indicative gap is sitting at £11.6 million, and whilst that may fluctuate in some way, this is going to prove very difficult to close without impacting on how the council operates. As a council, we rely on over 80% of our funding from the local government settlement, and early indications from the autumn statement do not fill me with much hope or confidence for any significant increases in budgets for local government. In relation to the questions around about the council tax funding, The Scottish Government has said that it will fully fund a council tax increase. As part of COSLA, the leaders, we're currently negotiating what this might be, and there's further discussions to be had once the Scottish Government publish its draft budget, which should contain the proposals for this on the 19th of December. I'd like to assure the Chamber that as Council Leader, I am continuing to negotiate and lobby on behalf of the Council. I've written directly to the Deputy First Minister outlining Clackmannanshire's specifically challenging context and seeking a meeting to discuss this further, and I'll keep members updated with any progress. And of course, I continue to engage through COSLA, who are our formal negotiating body with the Scottish Government. So I'm happy to propose the paper.
Thank you, Councillor Lindsay.
That's, only really a few things stand at the really comprehensive proposal, but it's clear and it's noted in 2.11, this is an extremely challenging financial context that we're sitting within. We know that the 1.6 million pound gap to reinforces that. I think what fills me with hope is the work that's ongoing, and I commend Lindsay and the team that's working incredibly hard, not least to work with us in administration, but to provide really comprehensive engagement and briefings to all elected members on the current situation and where we're currently looking at across the council in terms of all the portfolios, in terms of savings going forward. At the close of this meeting, this administration will be straight into that darkened room to go through all of the budget lines across all the portfolios, line by line, to look at what we can do, what we can support, what we perhaps can't support. And Councillor Portion's highlighted that this budget is very much about how we work across the council as well to make sure that we get support, because not only is this a financial challenge, but we've got people that are engaged with business as well that we need to support alongside this process as well. So just to really reinforce the amount of work that's going on is incredible, and just want to reinforce our thanks to the ongoing support that we're receiving for that. So that's all I'll say at the moment. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. The paper's open for debate. There's a big paper. Councillor Lilly.
Thanks. This is beyond doubt the worst we've ever had, and I think it's right across the country as well. It's not just us, it's not just Clackmannanshire that's got this problem, everybody has. When we went to IJB, I would have liked the darkened room yesterday as well. It was at the IJB, but I've got the lights are on and everybody's talking at once. There is so much happening within councils just now that we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if we're going to have a 25% interest rate for the council tax, or if it's going to freeze at 3%. Up in the air. Everything's still up in the air, unfortunately. The IGP worries me the most because as a couple of us who were in meetings yesterday know that there's no clear water at all at the end of this moment. So it's very much hopefully over Christmas, New Year and into the spring, January, February time and whatever, before the budget, that will have a wee bit more impact on what's happening and know exactly what's going on, because if perfectly frank, nobody knows what's going to happen at the time we get to budget, and hopefully the continued hard work that's happening within the council is going to help a lot. So it's not criticising.
Thank you for that. Anybody else? Councillor Portion, moving on to the slide. So the paper's asking us to note a series of issues that are relating from 2.216, but they're probably not in consumer measures. You have to see the paper as presented. Thank you. Item 7 is the failure management report updates.
This report gives an overview of the Treasury management activities for the Council for the first 6 months of the year ending the 30th of September. The report confirms the Council's compliance during the first 6 months of the year with the Code of Practice on Treasury Management and our Council policies. As at 30th September 23, cash balances remained at a sufficient level of 36.5 million. During the first half of the year, interest rates increased steadily to 5.25% in August, where they have remained to date. The continued rate rises had a positive effect on investment income, with 303,000 earned in the first 3 months to June, and a further 346,000 from July to September, mostly through a mixture of short-term investments. The latest forecasts from our Treasury advisors, Link, are provided in Table 1 of the report and show that the bank rate is likely to remain steady for the coming year before starting to fall by September 25. Over the period, external borrowing has reduced by 756,000, with repayments of 720,000 towards PFI arrangements and 36,000 towards other external debts. No external borrowing was undertaken in the first half of the year, and no further borrowing is expected to be taken within the remainder of the year. The report also provides some brief commentary on the economic background and comparison of the Council's capital expenditure and financing requirements compared to the approved prudential indicators. Council has asked to note and consider the information presented in the report, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Lydia. Do you have any questions, Councillor Clegg?
Thank you, Chair. Then to question 1, page 89, 3.18. The 720,000, that's a capital, there's no, the interest of being counted for separately. That's a capital, is it? Yeah, fine. Okay, we're now to 3.24. So on page 91. Yeah, what is it that determines those boundaries, the 146 million and 157 million?
At the start of the year, when we prepare the Treasury Management Strategy, we look at what our expected level of external debt would be, and we set a boundary and an authorised limit. So a boundary is a guide, and the authorised limit is a maximum. So we would be monitoring that through the year. So if it goes above any of those 2 levels, we'd be reporting that back, and that could be place management action, because that would then say that we are borrowing above the limit that we've said is affordable and prudent per the Treasury Management Strategy. So they are individual figures that we calculate based on our projected spend and in line with that affordability as part of the MSS.
So these are determined internally and not therefore binding in any way, are they? I mean, it's just an assessment made by officers on the day. Then nothing goes wrong. If you cross these thresholds, nothing comes in from outside to kick you in the head.
That's right. These are internal boundaries and authorised limits that we set ourselves. They are just triggers to make sure that if we're crossing those, then that is a flashing light is asked to, we need to go and relook at that, because it's out with that affordability and the prudence assumptions.
Thank you. Any other questions, Councillor Levy?
Apologies, like it was already in the paper, but just to ask, you mentioned we have a lot of short-term investments. I'm aware, just from other work, that long-term investments have done really badly and taken a massive hit, and I wondered if we had a range of long-term investments, and if we do have, if that was the case, that they take a hit as others have in the market.
Yeah, so we have, we tend to look at investments less than a year, so younger days and lengths, and our longer term investments, so we don't have any of those at the moment. So we're looking at our shorter term investments because they tend to have a higher rates and a bit more, use the word certainty, but short term certainty in terms of the interest rates that we generate. So you'll see in Appendix 1 that investment portfolio is a number of short term, because we believe that gives us instant access to money and enable cash management, as well as giving us the benefit of the increased interest rates that we've seen as the bank rate has gone up over the last 6 months.
Councillor Pine?
PPI again, are we committed to a set programme of capital repayments, and is that flexible? Or is that flexible?
It's a set capital repayment across the length of the contract of the project.
And can we make higher than contracted payments if we have spare cash? That would be nice. Also,
I believe we could, if we were so minded.
okay, well, that begs the question then, if you look at things that you can spend, do you look at that and decide that the biggest interest benefit is in paying X rather than Y? Do you bring that into your thinking, I presume?
As part of the budget setting process, we look at the options around what we can use our capital receipts for. And one of those is offsetting new capital expenditure, making additional repayments, or the loans fund repayments. And loans fund repayments are revenue, so we've prioritised that to try and reduce the gap and balance the budget in the previous year. But it is one of the considerations we take into account.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thanks, Councillor Fortune, to the agreement.
That convener, and we said the report outlines the council's treasury management activities and the economic context within which we as council are operating. We do continue to operate within the parameters agreed by council, and as a result of higher interest rates, investment returns are healthy. High interest rates do impact on borrowing costs. There have been no new external borrowing requirements. This is working in our favour for now. And indeed, our external borrowing continues to decrease, and it's been down 41 million since 2012, which is an encouraging position and sets us in good stead for the investments we want to make coming forward in relation to the Wellbeing Hub and Walkies. On that basis, I will propose the paper.
Thank you. Councillor Lindsay,
Just happy for the second.
Councillor. People open to debate. Any wish to debate, people? No. Okay, so it's a simple recommendation to note. Common challenge has been done. We have to agree to some. Item 8. Please, PNP business plan. So I'm
I hope it's I lost my walk. Thank you, Convener. Following agreement of the annual statement of priorities in October, this paper presents associated business plans for place and partnership and performance. I should highlight a correction with my apologies to the council convener in respect of the recommendation, which should read: council has to note, comment on, challenge and agree the business plans. He and I would be happy to answer any questions from the other.
Thanks for that, Stuart. Is that correction? Anybody have any questions? People? Councillors Watson.
Police delivers quality frontline services to the residents of Clackmannanshire. The business plan not only focuses on delivering quality services, but also steers the service towards being fit for the future needs of Clackmannanshire. We are all acutely aware of the issues surrounding and retaining and recruiting staff in the current employment market. The size of the teams within the council are small, and this can lead to blockages and pressure points. I would like to take this time to thank all staff for the work that they do, especially during the time these services are going through pressure points. Service redesign is looking at this work and is ongoing in every areas to try and address these issues. As you can see from the strategies and policies review schedule, each service has a large number to be reviewed. However, we all must be mindful that due to the staffing environment, along with the financial environment, services really need to prioritise their needs, and we need to be aware that timescales will change. There are positives within the portfolio, lots of areas performing well,
above the Scottish average. Those that recently attended the housing performance meeting will be aware of this. Going forward, we will all welcome the transformational change that the implementation of M365 and the new management information systems that will bring a positive change to the way that we use information to improve our services. Again, I'd like to thank all the staff for their hard work and dedication.
Thank you, Councillor Forson, to second.
Echoing what Councillor Moore has said there, and thanks to Pete and Stuart and their teams for bringing forward the business plans, which detail the work of both place and partnership and performance services, which I think everyone can agree is quite extensive. And quite rightly so, this work is focused on statutory services and the priorities agreed by this council. Much of the work, as you can see, has been focused on transformation, which is crucial for the resilience and sustainability of the organisation. And I want to highlight in particular the work that's been done around the Office 365 programme within the PMP. This is going to impact on the service, every single service in the council, but also the service delivery for our people out there, and it's taken up a significant resource. I think it's quite rightly so, because the potential transformation that this can bring forward is immense, and I think will help deliver better services for our communities moving forward. So happy to second the paper.
Thank you. People's open for debate. Any wish to debate? No. Debate, let's see, to no comment challenge here, but I need to include the answer. Item 9 is HR policies of the employment paper. Chris, do you feel that, please?
The paper as tabled seeks council approval to amend the existing redeployment procedure. The council's current redeployment policy and procedure were agreed in 2021 in line with the normal cycle of policy review. Under the existing provisions, there is no time limit on redeployment for those staff whose posts have been removed and who are, as a consequence, redundant. There are two main changes to the procedure as presented to council today. The first, a change from indefinite redeployment to a maximum period of 6 months, which aligns to approaches taken in other local authorities as evidenced by benchmarking information. And secondly, a strengthening of the procedure to maximise the potential for staff on redeployment due to redundancy to be successfully redeployed. As part of the process of amending the procedure, a number of valuable meetings have taken place with our trade union bodies. The first engagement was at the policy group, which took place on the 29th of August. Thereafter, as elected members will recall, discussions were held at the apartheid on the 13th of September. A further meeting between unions and the chief executive took place on the 26th of September, followed by a final meeting between unions, the senior manager, HR and the from the 11th of October. Many of the proposed changes suggested by our trade union colleagues have been agreed, accepted and incorporated into the proposed procedure. Examples include the inclusion of representatives from economic development at the initial meeting between staff and the manager to support employees finding new employment opportunities either within or potentially out with the council. Regular fortnightly meetings with employee, underline manager and or HR to discuss upcoming vacancies and training opportunities, as well as ensuring managers and employees are provided with all vacancy information. I do have to point out that union colleagues do remain firmly opposed to the removal of indefinite redeployment. During engagement on the changes, union colleagues did propose a change which would mean every 6 months a formal review meeting would take place to review how the process had gone, what training opportunities and potential posts have been considered or rejected, and what further supports could be considered to improve the likelihood of gaining a new post. This proposed change was not taken forward as it did not, in essence, move away from the position of indefinite redeployment, and as such, the council would continue to deal with the full, unbudgeted costs of redundant posts, despite there being a decision to cease or reduce specific functions. The unbudgeted costs arising from redeployment at the point the paper was prepared were £305,000 per annum, and these don't include the recently agreed pay award. The benefits of a more formalised review were clearly recognised, and as such, a 3-month formal review period, as seen in paragraphs 5.26 and 5.27 of the proposed procedure has been included with the intention to ensure there is consideration of what further supports can be looked at to improve the likelihood of gaining a new post in the period remaining on redeployment. The paper as presented also provides information on the process of voluntary severance and targeted redundancy as outlined in paragraphs 3.9 to 3.14. These processes, together with compulsory redundancy, are already provided for in Council's approved severance procedure, which is updated and agreed in 2020. Council, however, are not being asked to consider the severance policy today. It should be highlighted that the process of voluntary severance and targeted redundancy will continue, and there is no intention with the change to redeployment to move to implementing a compulsory redundancy process as outlined in the agreed severance procedures. Should Council at any stage wish to invoke the compulsory redundancy process, this would require a Council decision and would also require meaningful consultation and engagement with our trade union colleagues to specifically determine the matrix of criteria to be used for compulsory redundancy selection. Overall, there remains a clear commitment to redeploy wherever possible those staff who have been made redundant. Strengthening the procedure in terms of management, employee and HR engagement, and limiting the period of redeployment aims to achieve this whilst ensuring that budget savings can be achieved, which ultimately support the continued financial viability of the Council. Should Council agree to the changes to the procedure, we would look to implement these in the new year to allow relevant processes to be put into place. A number of questions were asked at the briefing session that we had with members earlier this week, but I'm happy to take any additional questions that they wish to have.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Chris. Any questions? Councillor Rennie?
Thanks very much, Chris, and thanks for outlining the situation of compulsory redundancy. I just want to be absolutely clear that this change in policy is not a move by the Council to consider redundancies, and that, as you said, that all changes would have to come back to Council, and that the Council policy remains no compulsory redundancies.
So the changing of redeployment procedure does not mean that we're moving to implement the process of compulsory redundancy that's outlined in the agreed severance procedure. There is a recognition that those staff who are on redeployment at the end of the 6-month period would leave the Council on redundancy grounds, but they haven't been placed into redeployment as a result of a compulsory redundancy exercise.
Can I also confirm that what you mentioned there, you said that we support with certified other employment. Does that responsibility fall on Clackmannanshire Council as well to ensure that they work with employees to get them into appropriate re-employment?
Absolutely, and strengthening that with the onus on the element manager and HR to be both doing that. Obviously, a willingness to engage with the employee, but yes, that's the organisation has that responsibility to ensure that we're maximising the opportunities for staff and family in terms of employment. And that should also have been enhanced with the addition of economic development, either internally or externally to the Council, which opportunities may arise.
Thank you, Councillor McTaggart.
Thanks, Stephen. Just we did answer this question from the briefing session the other day, but for benefit those who weren't at that session. Can you outline how the process follows through from the point where the post is deemed to be no longer necessary and the point where the employee might then be moved from the Council's employment? Thank you.
Absolutely, Councillor. So if it's a position where closed with the expired posts, that is usually changes. In the first instance, we will seek volunteers to be able to accept the package and we can get us up. If after that exercise there are more staff members and posts available, we will go through a ring-fenced and competitive process of our interview, and at the completion of that, anyone residual at the end of that process will then be able to be deployed. And at that point, more than 6 months, we will include staff.
Thank you, Councillor Coyne, or Councillor Quinn.
Thanks, David. Chris, are there any circumstances under the present arrangements where compulsory redundancy can apply?
So under the current scheme, the current policy, it's a tool in the policy. Since we have to have staff leave, however, it is a measure of last resort, we would require to come back to council and would likely be a part of the budget decision-making process. But at the moment, we do not implement compulsory redundancies in line with our service policy.
Yeah, I know you do not, but do you have the rights to under the present arrangement?
Yes, it's already an agreed service procedure.
We now be correct then and reflecting this back to my constituents, two of whom have written to me about this matter, that this is not a backdoor way of introducing compulsory redundancy because it's already there.
Absolutely, council, it's already an agreed service procedure.
Thank you, councillor Quinn.
Thank you. I just have a few quick questions. Probably not quick. Depends on the answer. So what do people on redeployment do? So their current job, their work is no longer available. They're on redeployment. What do they do?
We will endeavour wherever possible to find commensurate tasks to the level of skill. We work on short-term projects or temporary pieces of work. There's no compulsion on a member of staff redeployment at this point to undertake any temporary roles if they feel that it's not assimilable. If there were any similar roles, the posts that came up, they would be matched into those posts. But currently, there's no compulsion or any impetus on the member staff to undertake any temporary work. But we do, and our staff are engaging with us to undertake meaningful work.
Excellent, thank you very much. Also, there's a lot of talk about, training people and giving them other jobs and things like that. Do we have any information about people that have been in employment and been successfully retrained to do other things?
We have a number of examples of staff who have been successfully deployed off the redeployment procedure, and then we also have in procedure the trial periods. So member of staff who may not quite have the essential criteria for a post, but may have done a short period of training and get that 4-week trial, and that can be extended to 6 months. We've had an example of someone moving into monitoring office service area that came off redeployment into a solicitor. So we have examples of successful redeployment across the council.
Excellent, that's good to hear. We talk about compulsory redundancy thing. Are we debating over definitions here? Because if I work for the council and I'm put on redeployment, my post not longer available, and after 6 months I don't find something and I'm out of work, how is that different than compulsory redundancy? I'm misunderstanding something there.
No, I think in response to Councillor Ben's question, there was a recognition at the end of the redeployment period of staff having been successfully deployed the role in the council and grounds of redundancy. We are not invoking or putting into practice the process of compulsory redundancies as outlined in the council policy. That requires engagement with the unions. That's where we have a pool of staff where we would select those to be made redundant based on disciplinary record, experience, attendance, performance. We're not looking to do that. But I do recognise at the end of a redeployment period, if someone hasn't been successful, they will leave on redundancy grounds. But over the years, we've had examples of that. There's over 100 staff who've left the council, either through BS or over 50 staff have left on redundancy grounds through the TBR process in the past.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Any further questions, councillor Henry?
So, quick one, Chris, thanks very much for that. Would there be any possibility of you bringing back to council a report on the success of this policy and whether you know what the outcomes were of it? Looking at it maybe after a year or something?
We could maybe take it up to discussion in terms of the implementation, how many have left through agreement or how many have left on redundancy at the end of the deployment period. Yeah, what do you mean?
Councillor Quinn?
Thanks. Chris, would I be right in assuming that since the numbers of people involved currently on indefinite redeployment for more than 6 months, the whole point of this exercise is actually to incentivise these and future employees to actually do something proactively about their employment?
It's to have that engagement, yes, absolutely, but as Councillor Rennie's indicated, the bill was on council to also ensure that we are finding wherever possible alternatives. But yes, it's kind of a two-way process. We've got probably responsibility for council to do to try and find work for the citizens, but absolutely.
Thank you. Any other questions? No. Chris, Councillor Forsyth,
Thanks, Convener. And just in this paper, I'm clear that the purpose of it is to amend the use of redeployment procedure, which currently allows those whose positions have been made redundant to remain on redeployment indefinitely. This paper will indeed amend the policy to be a period of 6 months, which brings Clackmannanshire not only into line with most other councils in Scotland, but in many cases a more generous position. For example, the positions outlined in the benchmarking range from a notice period to periods of 6 months for redeployment. I recognise fully that trade unions and management have been unable to reach agreement on this matter and that the trade unions remain opposed to the change. The paper outlines quite clearly the procedures in place to assist employees placed on redeployment, and there has been significant discussions in various forums, including tripartite, about how these could be strengthened, with the policy being amended to reflect these, for example, including a 4-month review to make sure that everything possible is being done to find alternative employment. And that being said, I mean, I fully appreciate it's incumbent on both the employer and the employee to find suitable alternative posts, not only within the council, but within partners and external organisations too. There have been suggestions made that the change to this policy is the introduction of compulsory redundancy to the council, and I am fully satisfied that this is not the case. Should there need to be compulsory redundancies in the future, this will have to be brought to council for approval. And it does still remain our position to avoid compulsory redundancies wherever possible. And on that basis, I will propose this paper.
thanks for that. Councillor Lindsay, second.
Thanks, Convener. I think firstly, I fully support the paper and I certainly the work that Chris has done across the board to get this particularly updated policy paper to this stage. There's a number of considerations, huge number of considerations they always take around a policy paper like this. And in fact, probably every policy paper, we consider the people involved, the process that's been outlined, the impacts, both financially, but in terms of the sustainability of the business as well. And all of those are critically important for us to consider with this particular policy as well, particularly the sustainability of this council as a business. And given the papers that have just come before this particular paper, given the current context of this organisation financially. And so while it's critically important for the council to support the work and work with staff, on redeployment, the council is ultimately a business that needs to operate in a sustainable way, and to operate a policy that indefinitely has staff in a redeployment pool for over 6 months, potentially a year, is not a sustainable position that we can continue with. The steps that we laid out, the question asked by Councillor Taggart in terms of that process, I think was helpful in going through what that looks like for staff. It's been outlined in terms of the range of supports that will be in place for staff. And in terms of 6 months, the process that's involved in that, I think we are, and it's been highlighted that we are in still a strong position in supporting staff through 6 months. We are still, compared to other councils, in quite a good position to do that. Absolutely satisfied with the steps that laid out to support staff to find suitable alternative roles and training. And I've spoken to a number of people about this particular policy as well. I know that doesn't constitute full consultation, but I haven't spoken to anybody yet that doesn't support the steps that we're taking today, both to support staff and to improve the financial sustainability of the council. So on that basis, looking at everything around, fully support the paper and happy to proceed on that basis. Thanks.
Okay, thanks for that. The paper's now open for debate. Councillor Rennie.
So we've always been clear in the position that we're opposed to compulsory redundancies. We always have been and we always will be. So we were sort of taken into this paper very, very seriously when we took it forward. So we have actually engaged with officers quite substantially before this meeting to ensure that we were clear on the position, and thankfully Chris acknowledged that with the discussions that we had in the meeting today, to confirm that this wasn't a move by council towards compulsory redundancies. On that basis, I agree with Councillor Lindsay, it's not good for anybody to be sitting for years on redeployment. I think for people's well-being and everything really on that, it's not helpful. People are not moving forward then in any way, and I think from that point of view, I think it's a positive step for people both to be really motivated to move forward to get somebody into alternative employment on both sides of the council side as well. And I think on that basis, being totally reassured, and if it changes, we'll argue the point that this is not a move towards compulsory redundancies, then I'm happy to support this paper.
Thank you. Anybody else who wish to contribute to the debate? Oh, sorry, Councillor McLean.
Thanks, Convener. I wanted to make the point to Chris regarding how the 6 months actually kicks in, because there's quite a bit of a preamble before we get to the 6 months period. So a number of measures have to be taken before we come to the point where, right, this is the beginning of the 6 months. So it could be far longer than 6 months. And when we look at it in black and white in the paper, it can look almost like a guillotine. 6 months and later, you're gone, sort of thing. But a lot of work goes into looking at the different options for employees before the 6 months actually even kicks in. So I just wanted people to understand that it wasn't a guillotine effect and that a lot of work is going into that. Thanks, Convener.
Thank you. Councillor Quinn.
Thanks very much. I've thought about this paper a lot, and I thank officers for the work they put in, the briefing session, explain more about it that we had earlier in the week and everything, just to kind of cover all the points and we answer all the questions. I do agree with much of what's in the policy and what we're doing to help people and with non-redeployment. And I think we're going towards strengthening that position. But in my mind, if we were a private company, I would think this is a very generous policy. But we're not a private company, and I think I work in the private sector, and if I was going to work for a council, I would know I wouldn't make as much money doing the same job, but that would be a trade-off and other benefits and job security. But I think this weakens our job security, and we never have enough time trying to attract good people. And we are a smaller council, which also maybe puts people off us that we're maybe not the first choice if they're looking for a job in this sector. I think this will make it more difficult to attract skilled people that we need, knowing that every year we're making more and more savings and your position could be cut out, could be gone, and in 6 months' time they could be out of the job. I think that's not the right kind of incentive we want to get to attract the right kind of talent. I agree we need to do more. To kind of help people who are in redeployment, to help look for opportunities, help engage with them more, look for opportunities to retrain them, to find a new position, whether that's internally or externally. But in my mind, we're kind of might not technically be compulsory redundancy, but a position has gone about a job in 6 months. How is that any different than me being made compulsory redundant? In my mind, to the people in that position, I don't think they see much of a difference in it either. So, for that reason, I'm not going to support this paper, although I do support a lot of the measures in here. It's just that I just can't get over that, and I can't back that. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Harrison, followed by Councillor Quinn.
Thanks, Nick. I suppose mine is just a bit of a follow-on from Councillor Rennie. I'm actually happy to see that we as an employer are going to put more helping who are in this redeployment situation to find suitable employment, whether that's with the council or out from the council. I think one of the examples in the paper is that somebody's been on redeployment for 5 years. I don't know the full ins and outs of that, but that can't be a sustainable position for either the employer or the employee. So I'm really glad to see that as part of this, we are strengthening the commitment to help people through that, and I think it might be Councillor Rennie again who said it'd be good to see a report coming back. I think that's a very good point as well, that in a year's time, if we could see how this policy has been implemented and hopefully see the benefits to it, I think that'd be a very good point as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, Convener. Employment is a contract between two adults. One is a female, the other might be female, might be a company, and it's an exchange of values which are beneficial to both. And that's how it should be. With employment, an employee can leave any time he or she likes, giving the appropriate notice. On the other side of the coin, it's not the case for companies or businesses. They are through very good actions by the Labour movement 100 years ago. Successive governments have tied in employment contracts that protect employees from vicissitudes of employee-employers. However, the pendulum can swing too far, and I think that as the employee has the right to walk away from a contract, the employer should have the same right, and they do. It's just that there's a little loophole here that's been created, or a blockage that's been created by previous decisions, and I think it's time that you tidy that up. I'm not talking about huge numbers of people here. I think half a dozen, something like that, currently affected. To me, it's an obvious thing to do to redress the balance between the two sides of the contract, and for that reason, I'm really supporting the statement.
Councillor Clegg, did you want to come back?
Please, Convener, just in response to Councillor Quinn's comments, the council is a business. The council is a business with even more responsibility than a private business because we're using public money. We've already said that over 300,000 has been spent this year alone. That's public money. That is better spent to deliver services for the people of Clackmannanshire than having somebody sitting in a position where they are uncertain and don't know what their job actually is. We're doing the employee no favours, but more so we're doing the public of Clackmannanshire no favours by continuing to spend money that is better used elsewhere. Thanks, Convener.
If there are no other contributions, Councillor Wilson, you have an opportunity to sum up?
Just sum up briefly, I welcome the debate and the comments across the chamber. I think it's only right that we have the conversations and everybody is fully satisfied with the proposals to amend the policy in front of them. Commending Chris and the team on the work that's gone into making sure that everybody's fully understanding of this. And as we move forward, I think it's only right that we do review these sorts of things, and the Audit and Scrutiny Committee, I think, is the right place to be doing this. And it's incumbent on all of us as councillors to keep engaging and to make sure that we are satisfied that what we've agreed and that what we're implementing is exactly what we thought it to be. So moving forward, let's just make sure that we all do that. But thanks again to everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Just to run through what we've asked to ask the people seek to maintain a clear intent and expectation to be employed where possible, all employees prevent posted being removed as a result of transformation or change, or recognise that where a reasonable period has lapsed, the emphasis of those parties to include employment and provide appropriate compensation to the employee. Other asked to note the proposed change from indefinite employment period to a maximum period of 6 months. To note the pre-employment benchmark information can provide in Appendix 1 and to agree the proposed changes to the re-employment procedure. It was already indicated in the debate we don't have a unanimous position on that, so put that to the vote. That's no problem.
So this is a roll call vote of the last speaker, and we'll start with Councillor Perry. Councillor Lindsay.
Agreed.
Councillor McCluskey.
Agreed.
Councillor Balsam.
Agreed.
Councillor Bailey. Councillor Keogh.
Agreed.
Councillor Law. Councillor Hamilton. Councillor Rennie.
Councillor McTaggart. Councillor Eyre.
Okay.
Councillor Forster.
Agree.
Councillor Quinn. Councillor Harrison. Councillor Martin.
Agree.
And Councillor Corbyn.
I agree.
Thank you. So the people here cleared the 15 votes. Item 10, the agenda is regional energy master. Energy efficiency strategy.
Convener and the board members. The Regional Energy Master Plan is a city region deal funded strategy produced by consultants on behalf of Clackmannanshire and surrounding counties. It maps out a route to net zero energy within the winter time periods and will use key performance indicators to track progress. It will form an important part and be essential to delivering on our forthcoming climate change strategy. The Regional Energy Master Plan work included the creation of a digital twin model of the region, which can simulate various scenarios to assist with developing and prioritising projects to help us achieve climate targets over the lifetime of the strategy. The master plan was consulted on during the summer, and responses received were used to produce a final version of the document that is before members today. As the report sets out, the Scottish Government has recently confirmed to us that the Regional Energy Master Plan meets the obligations of their Local Heat and Energy Efficiency Strategy, LHEAS for short, statutory order, which requires all local authorities to produce an LHEAS before the end of 2023. Happy to take any questions, and I have a colleague from Stirling Council on hand to answer any more technical questions if needed. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Emma. Are there any questions? Councillor Ward, to move the paper.
It's lost. We don't. I'd like to I welcome this paper coming forward, and especially it's back to the centre of the work that he's done getting involved in regard to this paper. The Regional Energy Master Plan is a strategic document that lays out a path for Clackmannanshire to reach net zero with its energy requirements. The document has also allowed us to satisfy the requirement of the Scottish Government's local heat and energy efficiency strategy, back to the short and tech LHEAS. There are many councils around Scotland who have been struggling to find the expertise to complete the LHEAS, so we are definitely punching above our weight with having this completed along with the addition of the Regional Energy Master Plan. The Regional Energy Master Plan has engaged with a large number of stakeholders as part of the initial group, along with other councillors, when we were discussing local energy users. For me, one of the most aggressive parts of the Regional Energy Master Plan is the model. The model allows us to look at any area of Clackmannanshire and view a building's energy rating. This for me is really amazing because it allows to identify what buildings are less energy efficient, which means we can identify which buildings would benefit from a targeted first approach. We can identify those most risk at fuel poverty, and so when we become aware of funding for retrofitting, etc., we can easily identify these properties and act in a very proactive manner. Master Plan has also identified 2 business cases for energy projects in the fourth banking area, and more details of these cases will come to the Council in future. It's important to note that this is a strategic document, which means that for this to become a reality, it will require investment not just from the Council and Scottish Government, but also the private sector and private owners. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. Second.
Thanks, Peter. I'm happy to second the paper. The Regional Energy Master Plan has been produced, has been said, as part of the Stirling and Clackmannanshire City Deal, and should the plan be approved by Council today, that will be considered by the Joint City Region Deal Committee in due course. The length of toll has been placed in the group of offices, and if anybody manages to get to the end of that, congratulations, you're a better person than me. I have to say, for me, the master plan is just the start, and we now have the framework, and we need to start to bring it to life. And I struggle some days to see how we'll manage to bring that to life, because it's going to take quite a lot of investment that is out with the control of the council. However, I do think that we have a part to play in it, and an investment strategy moving forward is going to be key to this. I won't underestimate the challenges though. I think when I first heard about an energy strategy being introduced as part of the City Region deal, I thought we were going to, kind of come forward with the plans for geothermal, for district heating systems, for all the other things that we're really aspirational and we want to deliver for our communities. And it did fall a wee bit short for me on that, because it's just a framework. All the hard work needs to be done underneath this to bring life to the framework, to put meat on the bones, and to actually deliver changes that are going to make a difference to our communities. And that's certainly something that I'm feeding back to governments when I'm engaging as part of the City Region deal. It's great to give us, £80,000 to deliver a strategy, but how do we then kind of deliver the strategy for our communities? As Councillor Law says, there's been significant public consultation across Clackmannanshire and Stirling with the public, with their stakeholders, with partners, and some of the details are outlined there in the strategy. Again, it's one of these things where I'm a wee bit disappointed by the responses, and it's something that's so important, but the kind of level of response is always seems to be limited to a few people. Again, as Councillor Law has outlined, local authorities are required to deliver an LD's plan, and as a result of this, we're one of the few local authorities that have been able to do so thus far. So I'll take that as a win, and actually, if that's one of the things that we get out of it, we have certainly benefited from that. But good paper, but I think the work starts now. Thanks.
Okay, thank you for that. I think there's up to date. Councillor Benny.
You just stole my thunder there, Councillor Watts. I was just, what I was going to say on the back of it is I think this is a really good paper. We're running out of time and it's really, really important. But I would really like to see actions. So I think on the back of the paper, that's where I think in the City Region deal, we really need to get to the action phase in that. I mean, just looking at just a general headline, motor carbon transport, we need to look at active travel much more. We need to look at decent cycle routes around the area, getting people out to do that, and I think that's going to be so important. But also in terms of biodiversity, I'd like to see wildflower fields everywhere. I'd like to see all of that happening in the region, and that's all going to be based on an action plan moving forward. But I think, it's a good, I'm not being critical, it's a good start. I think we need to start somewhere, but I think we really need to get moving as well, because we're running out of time.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Benny.
Thanks, Jen. Yeah, it's a juggernaut, and there's no doubt about that. But there is stuff happening, although it's behind the scenes and possibly quite impossible to actually define what is happening. But there is stuff happening really specific deal every time there's a meeting, we go there, and when I walk out, I go, right, I'm not sure exactly what happened there, but I'm sure it was better. But then we look into it a bit deeper. It is, as I say, a long-term thing, but it is coming. It's unfortunately, when the city deal first was brought up, everybody was going, well, this is great. It'll be a couple of years, so that doesn't happen like that. It's a long-term plan, and we need to get it right, so we need to do it properly rather than quickly. And I think that's happening just now. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of people behind the scenes who are actually doing an awful lot of work that no one knows about. So, but it's getting there. As I say, juggernaut.
Thank you. Councillor Quinn.
Thanks. No, I just wanted to add what people said, to just to offer my thanks to all the officers and everyone who's worked on this. It's a huge piece of work you've done. It's really positive. I'm really looking forward to kind of seeing more now, on action. And I'm always frustrated on everything it takes, but this is just, it's really good. It takes time. You need to make sure we do things properly, we do things the right way. Like Councillor Benny was saying, absolutely, it's really positive. I'm really excited by it, and I'm really glad I've got this far. And with all the work that's going into it, so thanks again to everyone for worked on it.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Russell.
Yeah, just
just that it's a first step, but I think in terms of the greener strategy, I think a lot of us are looking for options for district heating schemes. Can we use wide glassworks, the surplus heat from there to help out? Geothermal's been mentioned in all the renewable energy, so once we get to that level, I think it'll be more meaningful to people. But as Councillor Law highlighted, some of the energy usage and escape of energy from our housing is an important issue as well, and the insulation of our homes is probably one of the quicker ways that we can involve secure energy reduction and address the cost of living crisis, as well as reduce our footprint on the world. So that's what we've got.
Thank you for that. There's nobody else, Councillor Lodging, to choose someone?
Yeah, I was just going to say, we have, the energy advice team within the council, so I would say, please highlight that to people within Clackmannanshire, because they do amazing work, and they can help people to get the funding. The guys are trained to do EPC ratings on houses, so please highlight the work that they're doing and let everybody know, what the services are. They do the work, and Lawrence gets an amazing amounts of funds to help people do kind of like retrofitting, installation and such like. So yeah, just please get people engaging in that service. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. We've been asked to approve the draft regional energy master plan and review update and brought to council in 5 years. Happy to approve it. Okay, thank you. We're going to slightly over a stance, but I'm going to take a couple break now and come back in 2 minutes.